Design thinking is a systematic approach to solving complex problems, an approach that emphasizes innovation through iteration and learning through doing.
I look at the design process as being similar to operating like a detective in that I'm always looking for clues behind what are requirements for a design and what are constraints. What is their problem that I have to satisfy?
As we think about the future of schooling and learning, one of our central concerns is how can we prepare students for their future? In the decades ahead, automation is going to replace many of the jobs that we take for granted today. If we want young people to thrive in their future, we need to help them become great communicators, and we need to help them learn to solve ill-structured problems.
Every complicated problem you see in the world that you know about, whether it's clean water or helping out people who are in need, or how to build better infrastructure, or how to take technologies and leverage them in new ways, all requires an understanding of design process.
We draw the design process as a cycle, but it really involves lots of cycles of iteration nested within a larger process. The early phases of the process, discover, focus, to some extent the beginning of imagine, they're all about problem finding, understanding what kinds of problems would be worth addressing. The later phases of the process, imagine, prototype, try, and reflect and share, are how designers iterate through different ideas to find effective solutions. Another useful way to think about design thinking is as alternating periods of flair and focus. Sometimes your job as a designer is to expand your thinking as widely as possible, to take in lots of new ideas and information, and to quickly imagine lots of different approaches and solutions. At other parts of the process, it's important to narrow down your thinking and address one particular challenge with one particular solution. To begin unpacking any problem, we need to begin by understanding the people, context, and challenges around that problem. Our process begins with discover.
You don't want to come in with a perspective of, I am designing for you. You instead want to come in with a perspective of, I'm designing with you. I want to know your knowledge about the problem. I want to know your constraints and requirements. And I want to show you that together, by combining our knowledge, we can produce something better than either of us could have done alone.
To find really good opportunities to help users can be really challenging. So if it's about how they get to work, it's understanding why they get to work and what they value as they get to work and what they're concerned about as they get to work, and understanding their human emotions around that.
Imagine is one of the most fun and energizing parts of the design process, but it can be challenging too. Often, especially when you're trying to come up with ideas from scratch, or you're trying to figure out how do we meet the aspirations that we have of solving this problem and serving these people. But it's important to keep pushing through that and just tolerate that and know that you have other good ideas in there if you keep practicing and going at it.
Prototyping to me is a communication style. It's really this way of taking all of the amazing ideas that we have in our head and putting them out into the world to be able to share them with other people and get feedback on them.
Don't wait until it's perfect to actually share it with somebody else. In fact, the best time to share your ideas with somebody else are when they're just about ready to be understood by somebody else.
After trying something out, designers reflect on their efforts and share their insights with others.
I think there are many different ways that people reflect. Actually, there's a former MIT professor, Don Schoen, who talked about reflection in action and reflection on action. And I think both are important, because I do think that too often people are only doing reflection on the action after it takes place.
Often these phases of prototyping, trying, and reflecting and sharing need to happen over and over again for solutions to improve. We solve all kinds of problems every day. Some problems are personal and simple. How should I get to work today? You make decisions about whether or not to take public transportation, if you have time to stop by the coffee shop, or how you can avoid traffic. Other problems are more broad and complex. How will I get students to learn and care about protecting the environment? Design thinking is a flexible and powerful approach to address these diverse kinds of challenges. It's a systematic approach to critical thinking.